yoga for attaining the liberation. So, where Shukadeva Goswami recommended that dharana stage are like the first step is pantheism, seeing at least everything in this world connection to the Lord. And now, in the last discussion, we have seen a question raised again by Parikshit Maharaj, how this dharana is accomplished and what is the bona fide dharanashraya, and which, because when you say meditate on the universal form, connecting everything to the Lord, uh, it is mind getting deviated to many things, or it is very difficult to control the mind in that meditation on the universal form. So, what is the bona fide dharanashraya? So, that was the question asked by Parikshit Maharaj, and today we will hear the answer to that question. Let me share my screen. One second.
And he can make his association available in a personal way. So in the process that's primarily respected and promoted in the Srimad Bhagavatam is the holy name. Through the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, one can associate with Nidya Sarva Shaktis, all of the unlimited potencies of God. How potent is God? Not just some of his potencies, a sunset potency, or the fragrance of a rose potency, or the changing of the sea, the fall season
Is the audio clear? Everyone can hear?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes,
Okay.
Mataji.
Thank you.
spectacular. The spring season is spectacular. Winter season is not so nice. When the snowflakes come down, it looks nice. Anyway, Krishna says, of seasons I am the flower-bearing spring, where the bees start buzzing and the birds are chirping, and it's nice. It's a very beautiful season. But this is just a speck. What to speak of the spiritual potencies? Let's say the potency of the sun. That's a material potency. And those material potencies are just a fragment of the spiritual potencies, and all spiritual potencies of the Supreme Lord are packed within his names. Each one of his names has all of his spiritual potencies. How thick is our consciousness to not be able to perceive that? But the potencies are there, and purified souls are realizing them and sharing their experience of chanting the names of God, and from within the names of God, the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord all become revealed. Just as with Dhruva and with so many. He was then able to disclose this form that I'm seeing. It's nothing like any material form. It's Sat Chit Ananda Vigrahas, full of eternality, knowledge, and bliss. These bodies are not eternal. They're not inherently full of knowledge. And they're not inherently blissful. We're seeking happiness through the senses contacting sense objects. Oh. Got a bumblebee inside. You can turn it off, huh? Okay. Thus, persons who are unable to pin their faith on the personal feature of the Absolute Truth are given a chance to associate with his Virat Rupa, or cosmic, impersonal feature of the Lord. The cosmic, impersonal feature of the Lord is a feature of his unlimited potencies. Since the potent and potencies are identical, even the conception of his impersonal cosmic feature helps the conditioned soul to associate with the Lord indirectly, and thus gradually rise to the stage of personal contact. Just because we were discussing this yesterday, it's fresh in my mind. The mental health profession, without spiritual contact, is not going to be effective. It'll be cosmetic at best. Someone can feel better for a little while, but the root thing is still going to disturb. And chances are the manifestation will come out in a very similar form, or if not in that same form, some other form, but the root disturbance is still there. So methods of spiritual contact may be diverse, and there are principles. So if one applies those principles and is making some progress on the path, therefore the response, what if people have different paths, follow the path. And that it's not that necessarily all roads lead to Rome, or all paths lead to the same stage of realization, but all paths, if one continues, will eventually, because there is but one Supreme, and there are different appreciations of that Supreme, different paths to reach some gradual spiritualization of consciousness, or at least through codes of ethics to become more in goodness and less in passion and ignorance. There's at least some relief. That's not as yet a solution. So some teaching, religious teaching, is be good and don't be bad. Be ethical, and try to be a good person and don't hurt anybody. Don't live your life in such a way you're allowing yourself to purposefully cause pain to other living beings. Be good. That's ethics. But religion is far more than ethics. At least spirituality is far more than ethics. Spirituality is connecting with the source and then responsibly acting in relation to the source. That is, all things are his property because he's the source. Now, how do I live my life? Acknowledging all things are the property of God while I'm passing through his kingdom, his creation. Certainly ethically should be there, but this principle that's being introduced here is bringing, while not acting in passion, but acting in goodness and knowledge, acknowledging the Supreme. Fix your mind upon those features of this Virat Rupas, those features of the Supreme that are majestic and awesome and splendorous, and appreciate the person behind indirectly, and in appreciating that person behind, stir the devotional mood, and then direct activities of devotion can be provided for such a person. just cover one more verse. Sukadeva Goswami answers the question of the king. One should control the sitting posture, Jita Asana, regulate the breathing process, Pranayama, and thus control the mind and senses, and with the intelligence apply the mind to the gross potencies of the Lord, called the Virat Rupa. So the intelligence, diya, is the Sanskrit word here. To fix the mind, there has to be something stronger, because the mind is going to run all over the place otherwise. Chanchala himana Krishna. The mind is very flickering. So intelligence needs to be strong. And there's a difference between material intelligence and spiritual intelligence. Here's the simple distinction. Material intelligence function is to discern how to satisfy the dictates of the mind. The mind says, "My dear intelligence, can you please come here?" "Yes, sir. What is it?" "I have a desire." "Oh, you have a desire?" "Yes, a very strong desire. I would like da-da-da-da-da-da." "Well, I may have to go to school for some years to get da-da-da-da-da, but I'll gladly help you. I'm sure you'll remunerate me very nicely." "Yes, yes, I will. But I'm very much dependent upon you, good intelligence, for making this arrangement." "I will do it. I'm your servant." So the material intelligence serves the dictates of the mind, how to organize matter in such a way that the desire of the mind is fulfilled. And the desire of the mind is hearing from the senses, "I want this object," or "I don't like that object." "Okay, I'll figure it out." "Oh, I'm working on it." The intelligence serves the mind when things are backwards, and actually the one dictating to the mind are the senses. So the senses up here, the mind, and the intelligence is the order carrier, the dictates of the mind, how to do it. And when spiritual priorities are the other way around, the intelligence is giving direction to the mind. "My dear mind, don't go over there. Go over here." And when you go over here, in the following mood, you should fix yourself upon these things. And the other things, they're going to cause you lots of trouble and contamination. Don't go there. So intelligence in spiritual life needs to be strong. And what Krishna teaches in Bhagavad Gita is, by studying the sacred conversation of Bhagavad Gita, one is strengthening one's intelligence. You're bathing, as what Ralph Waldo Emerson said, one is bathing one's intellect by studying the sacred words of Bhagavad Gita. Then when the intelligence is a little bathed and a little sacred, a little strong, the intelligence can give direction to the mind. So hearing regularly from the scripture is a very important part. It's not just having more information. It's having more purification. And becoming, in that purified state, of a spiritual disposition. That is, how to reach the supreme goal of life. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Krishna is the giver of spiritual intelligence for those that have a certain qualification. And that certain qualification is Tesham Satata Yuktanam Vajatam Priti Purvatam. Their disposition of devotion is awakened, then Krishna gives the intelligence. Oh, you want to come to me? Here's how you can come to me. And then the intelligence is to give direction to the mind. My dear mind, please cooperate. come to this wonderful form of the Supreme Lord. Contemplate this wonderful qualities of the Supreme Lord. Hear with great attention the sounds of His holy name. And in conclusion, Prabhupada writes, well, there's many things. As soon as the potencies are understood, potencies of Krishna, this material creation, His potencies, are understood to be instrumental manifestations of the transcendence, one automatically advances to the next step. The next step is feelings of awe and respect for the Supreme, which is then followed by, let me do something for Him, the devotional mood, the mood of service. And gradually the stage of full realization becomes possible for him. So this chapter is entitled The First Step in God Realization, and that's spiritualizing and personalizing our conceptions of what we see around us, creating a conducive atmosphere for spiritual progress. Srimad Bhagavatam is nice, huh? Very nice. Okay, any discussion? Yeah.
You were talking about material intelligence and spiritual intelligence.
Yeah.
Are these two different entities, or is it the material intelligence that gets spiritualized by purification?
Well, it's two different entities, because one is of matter and the other is of spirit, and there's two different entities. But their differentiation is according to function. So, yes, one can spiritualize intelligence, one can spiritualize the mind, one can spiritualize the senses. And the spiritualized mind, intelligence, and senses act spiritually. But there is a difference at the same time. That is, when at a certain point we're going to leave behind this body and mind and material intelligence. According to Lord Kapila, it's by the process of bhakti alone that the material mind is dissolved. So it's a different entity. The material mind and material intelligence, they're coverings of the soul. They're elements, the 24 elements in Sankhya philosophy. Mind and intelligence and senses. They're components of material creation. They go from a manifest state to an unmanifest state, or an unmanifest state to a manifest state. In the spiritual world, we don't find, or in the spiritual position, we don't find material intelligence, material mind. Thank God. So yes, there is an understanding of a spiritualized. What Prabhupada explains it, it's like a gold box and a gold-plated box. The gold-plated box looks like a gold box. And there is a difference between the gold-plated box and the gold box. Or the distinction between a copper wire and an electrified copper wire. One is the carrier of electricity and the other is not. So, electrified. spiritualized. It's spiritualized by the presence of spirit. Otherwise, it's just dull matter. But acts like spirit because of the presence of spirit. So what's behind is consciousness. And where our consciousness is directed, fundamentally towards the Supreme or away from the Supreme. That's material intelligence away from the Supreme. Spiritual intelligence toward the Supreme. So in this present lifetime, we direct our attention to the Supreme, our intelligence becomes spiritualized. It doesn't mean that we can no longer discriminate between the door and the wall, between our hat and our shoes. Material intelligence discriminates between things. Hats go on heads and shoes go on feet. So our intelligence is still operating, but it's for the purpose of service of Krishna. Spiritualized intelligence. Yes.
When Dhruva saw Supreme Personality of
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anyone would like to share their thoughts, questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Well,
Hama. Yes, Mataji.
I like the sentence that the intelligence when we are reading scripture, it is like taking a bath and it is getting purified. That really made me think that that is how important this hearing and reading of the scriptures is. Then it can direct the mind according to the scriptures.
Thank you, Kumarika Mataji. That was nice point. Sarbari Mataji, I have seen your hand raised.
Yeah. Sorry, Hare Krishna Mataji, it's the same, but the sentence is that when one progresses spiritually, intelligence governs the mind, but otherwise in a normal situation, it is the mind that governs the intelligence. It's same, but I mean the other sentence, it's very beautiful. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Nice point. Thank you. Anyone else? Guru Prabhu, you have any thoughts, Prabhu, on today's hearing?
Yes, Mataji. I mean, majorly the discrimination between spiritual intelligence and material intelligence.
Can you be a bit louder, Prabhu? I can't hear you at least.
Is it better, Prabhu, now?
Yes, it's better.
Yeah, majorly the difference between the material intelligence and spiritual intelligence, where material intelligence is completely guided by the mind. It works on the mind demands. And the other part, like spiritual intelligence, it guides the mind. So what to be done and how it should be done, what is the good or bad, so all these things. And Maharaj mentioned that like how the spiritual intelligence should be fed. So that by going through the scriptures, that's the way like spiritual intelligence will get back and it can direct the mind. That is the one thing. And also, I have one question. I mean, Maharaj explained very nicely the example like electrified copper and normal copper wire, where in electrified copper wire, there is electricity will be passing. Normal copper wire, there is nothing. So similarly, the spiritualized intelligence, like which carries a spirit. So here, I have one small confusion, Prabhu. Like Maharaj mentioned that, like while leaving the body, the material body, the material mind and intelligence also will be there with the body. I was just confused and like spiritualized
At
intelligence and mind carries away
the time of
different.
at the time of our death, we carry with us our current mind, our current intelligence, and current false ego, which is all contaminated by contact with matter, or it's not fully in this position of wanting to just please Krishna. And that is why in the next birth, we have certain habits, we have certain proclivities, or things that we like to do, we don't like to do. It's all coming from the material mind intelligence false ego. And spiritual mind intelligence and false ego is covered.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Guru Prabhu and Shyam Kund Prabhu. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Today Maharaj started through the chanting of Lord's name, we can associate with Supreme Lord. So that is one point, Mataji. And Maharaj mentioned whatever material potencies, those are the fragrance of the spiritual potency. And Mataji, one more thing Maharaj mentioned, right? We have certain qualification. Krishna gives that intelligence. Means what? Certain qualification means what, Mataji? What we are doing, chanting, hearing, those things are what else, Mataji? Certain qualification. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Sorry, I took some time to unmute here. Yeah. Nice question, Mataji. There is a verse in Bhagavad Gita. One second. Anyone would like to answer this question?
Yes, Mataji. So Maharaj referred to the verse Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Tadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Upayantite. That verse says that people who are aspiring for my association constantly, Satata Yuktanam, and Bhajatam Priti Purvakam, and they are calling out my names, doing their devotional service with bhava, that with affection, with love, not mechanically as I am doing, with my mind half the time elsewhere. So concentrated, dhyan, so with love and affection. So then for such Ananya Bhaktas, I give Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. I'll give them the spiritual intelligence for coming back to me. So the qualification is that the first line, Mataji, that we should hanker for constant association to go back to Godhead and doing our devotional service with love and affection.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Kumarika Mataji. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
I have one question. I think you can take it tomorrow, or I know you can't speak properly. How to differentiate any thought if it is coming in my mind, it is coming from the mind or intelligence? I mean, we can generally differentiate it is coming from my heart or from my mind. These two we can differentiate. But what is coming from mind and what is coming from intelligence? How to recognize?
Very good question, Mataji. This Shyam Kund Prabhu, do we take this question today or tomorrow we will take this?
Tomorrow should be fine. But
Sure, Prabhu. Yeah, I think everyone can give a thought on this. How generally in our life, how are we differentiating this? This is the thought of mind. This is either intelligence or the heart, which is provoking me to do something. We will take this question tomorrow. And any closing comments, thoughts? Yes, Mataji.
I think I'm not qualified to answer this, but my small thought about intelligence and mind is when the idea comes from mind, a little bit of pleasure is involved in that. And when it is intelligent, we overcome that, even if it is difficult, even if it is unpleasant, even if it is not pleasing to our comfort zone, we go ahead. I think that is one differentiating thing, Mataji. But the thing is, I wanted to ask, how do we develop the hankering to go back to Godhead? Because people like we are very comfortable here. Yes. Yeah. Although we are facing a lot of difficulties, although we are knowing the challenges, we're like, yeah, I'm good here. This hankering to go back to Godhead is a really far-fetched thought. And we don't even know when, or how to arrive at that thought that yes, we have to go back to Godhead. That is our destination. That will end all this. So how do we develop that mentally? So that is always been my question. Thank you, ma'am.
A nice question again, Mataji. Saidana Mataji, thank you. We will take this question. I'll pose these questions. Everyone can give a thought process on these two questions, and we'll discuss tomorrow on this. Shamkun Prabhu, you have any closing thoughts on today's hearing?
Most of what I like or I appreciate was told by the devotees, Madhika Mataji and others too, Sharabari Mataji and others. Just one general thing, I mean, one thing from the scripture and aspiration from my side here. One from thing is, I like what Ray Maharaj said. It's not more intelligence, but more purification that is required. And just echoing the same thing what everybody else said, the feature of material intelligence is I have a problem and I have some information, I have some experience. How do I use the information and experience that I have with the confidence in my own abilities to solve the problem? That's when material intelligence kicks in. The way Maharaj, I'm just elaborating on what Maharaj is saying. But purification is, and when Maharaj said purification, he was referring to the purification by hearing Krishna Katha and being connected to Krishna's holy name. And in purification, it is not how I am going to solve, but how can I come to you to serve you? That's the disposition of spiritual intelligence, which Maharaj said. It's a long way to go. Uh, nice to know and nice to get it reinforced as such. One thing here, so the aspiration from my side is there are many statements, pithy statements or very succinct statements which Maharaj is saying here. It may be just one or two sentences here. If anybody likes it, the call, if you can note it and then we put it in some central place, or we can just put it in the chat group, somebody collates it, and then we can make it as quotes by His Holiness Prabhupada Maharaj or something like that. Somebody can even create a YouTube short or just take that. It can be just be a compilation in a text form, or we can just note down the minutes and seconds and make it a YouTube short. That was just another thought.
Thank you so much, Shamkun Prabhu. That was nice point and aspiration. Even I was thinking on the either short or as a post of Maharaj, we can do this nice things. And from today's hearing, I liked 2 points, especially when Maharaj said mental health without spiritual things will not help any person. We saw in the previous hearing that if we try to give medicines, like he used allopathy for that, for solving the problem, but without going to the root, it won't solve. Similarly, today he is referring again on that, the mental health. Nowadays, we see a lot of psychologists increasing and patients increasing because of the mental health. And there are so many sessions in the corporate world also which talks about the mental health. But the the solutions which they give, it is going to be temporary. It is not going to cure them permanently. But if we add the spirituality to it, it is going to the root again. So that's one thing. And the second thing, Maharaj touched very nicely about the spirituality and religious. So he made a statement at the end, spirituality is far more than the ethics. So one may appreciate um, the ethics one is following, the good habits one is following, but that is not the spirituality. Spirituality is something which connects to the Lord and which touches the soul. So that point is very nice. So that's it from my end. We will pause here and we'll continue our discussion tomorrow. I'm sorry that I didn't record the session today. Hopefully, I'll get the subscriptions subscribed by tomorrow and I'll live stream from tomorrow.
No, it's on YouTube, Mataji, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Prabhu did it. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. And I just last one. I like what Shamkun Prabhu said. Material intelligence means how to solve problems. Spiritual intelligence means how to come close to Krishna. Very nice, Prabhu. Well said. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Shamkun, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. Just one thing, Mataji.
Sure, bro.
Is it okay? So yesterday I was hearing Prahlad Narasimha share some things, some realizations. So just thought this was apt because Maharaj mentioned initially about chanting and then about material and spiritual intelligence, which has been covered by all devotees. So just one point regarding the chanting, Prabhuji Mataji's. So Maharaj mentioned you have to have a right sitting posture and regulate the breathing. So this is and apply the mind on the Virat Rupa form. The Lord is mentioned in this particular context. And Prahlad Narasimha mentioned that the same first two steps, that is cover the sitting posture, regulate the breathing, and apply the mind on the holy names of the Lord. So I just thought of sharing this if it can help everybody, that the sitting posture before chanting and maybe try to regulate the breathing and then focus on the holy names of the Lord alone. So it was like connecting the two, Mataji. I just attempted to do that. So if we can help everybody, we'll try to learn from that. That is one. And one small question, Prabhuji Maji. So here, Tesham Satata Yuktanam verse was mentioned by Maharaj, the context of that. And Krishna gives spiritual intelligence to those who have some qualification. How do we draw parallel with Mahaprabhu's mercy, Mataji's and Shankaran Prabhu? So if we can discuss around that, it will be really helpful. Hare Krishna.
Sure, Prabhu. Vivek Prabhu, I have noted the question. We'll post it. We'll discuss in this week, Prabhu. We'll try to figure it out tomorrow itself. Because we have another 2 questions. We'll take up.